Welcome to episode number 12 of the English to Takeaway podcast. It is 2025, so Happy New Year to everyone. My name is Jordan. You may know me from social media, from English Lingo or English Lingo with Jordan. I'm an English teacher and content creator. And I do have with me, as always, my awesome co host.
Oh, thank you, Jordan. Happy New Year, by the way, Jordan.
Same to you, mate.
Oh, cheers. Yeah, so my name is Richard. I'm known as the Grammar Goat on social media. Also an English teacher and content creator. I'm really pleased that we're kicking off the new year with another episode of the podcast. And I'm Jordan. I'm excited to. Well, this is the format of the pod, isn't it? We don't quite know what we're going to be talking about today,
Not
but I'm
particularly.
excited to. I'm excited to catch up.
Yes, that's a good point, actually. I think depending on if you're a new listener or if you're an existing listener, probably the existing ones will realize that we've had a little bit of a break over the Christmas and New Year period. And this is the first one since Christmas time. Yeah, we haven't really spoken too much over the winter period. So, yes, this is going to be fun for us to catch up and kind of get to know what you've been up to, really.
Yeah, definitely. Let's just clarify. It wasn't due to laziness, was it, that we haven't
No.
recorded an episode? Although you could argue maybe it was, but no. So I've been travelling a little bit.
Yes,
You've been busy as well with the farm, haven't you, and things like that. But yeah, it's
absolutely.
great. It's great. It's absolutely great to be back. Jordan, how was your Christmas, by the way? Did you have a nice one?
So Christmas was really, really nice. Christmas morning was fantastic, and my daughter woke up, and everything was just, surprise and excitement, and just wanting to go and rip open the presents as quickly as possible. Um, so yeah, it was great. I think I think as you get older, like for me, I love Christmas because she gets so excited about it, and seeing the excitement on her face is so, yeah, it's priceless, really. But Christmas morning, that was brilliant. That was nice. However, Christmas Day took a very, very bad turn around probably 11 o'clock in the morning. I think 11:30.
Really?
Uh,
Too much tequila, Jordan.
Tequila. I know I was driving. I had to
I'm
drive the
joking. I know.
car.
I know you don't drink.
No, I should have. I should have had tequila. It probably would have made it better.
Oh
No,
no.
we had a power cut for about 6 hours
Oh no. On Christmas Day.
on Christmas Day. Yes, so we couldn't use the oven because we've got an electric, uh, uh, like what do they call it, combination oven. Um, so yeah, we couldn't use that. So yeah, all our plans to cook for Christmas were out the window, and we just had to pretty much sit and suffer the heat of not having any power for such a long time. And yeah, frustrating is a good word to use.
Yeah, I bet because I think that power cuts are a fairly regular occurrence, aren't they, for you where you are in the Philippines? But I'm guessing not for such a long period of time.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Is there's something about the area that we live in. I generally don't know the reason why, but we have frequent power cuts. Like they call them brownouts, where I think there's not enough voltage to supply what is in demand or something, so it drops below, and then the power stops. Um, so they do happen quite frequently, but I don't know of the reason. Some other areas in the Philippines, no problem whatsoever. Very good, very stable, and they have no issues. But for some reason, where we are, yeah, we have frequent ones, unfortunately. Yeah, so
Oh,
yeah,
sorry to
terrible.
hear that. So how long did you have to wait until you could cook your Christmas Day food?
Um, I think we waited until maybe 5 p.m., something like that. Yeah. So yeah, we had a few bits and pieces during the day, of course, but yeah, our main meal we had to wait until a little bit later on, unfortunately. So yeah, the plans to watch things, like a Christmas Day movie at lunchtime and do all of those things. Yeah, we had to scrap them and go and sit on the beach and watch the waves.
Oh well, that still sounds pretty good to me. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, it was nice. It was nice and chill, which was good. And then Boxing Day, we had we had a whole sort of kind of like celebration for our workers at the farm. Uh, in Filipino culture, it's called lechon, which is like a rotisserie pork, rotisserie pig.
mm,
Um, so we had a whole pig that was roasted for our workers because we wanted to just celebrate a little bit of Christmas with them, uh, which was good. Again, all intentions and purposes were great. However, I was violently sick on Boxing Day.
oh no, sorry to hear that.
So I was basically bedridden the whole day.
Oh no, was that food poisoning or was that a bit of flu? What was it?
I I would like to say it was food poisoning. In terms of being 100% sure, uh, I I have an inkling that it could be, but I don't know perfectly if it was due to food poisoning. Um, the reason I say that is because 2 days, no, the day after, my daughter became sick as well with exactly the same as what I had. So
Hmm.
I don't know whether she would have had the same as me, but just a delayed version of it, or whether she caught it from me. Yeah, I don't know. It was, yeah, it wasn't fun. It wasn't an enjoyable Boxing Day for me.
No, it sucks. It sucks when you're sick at Christmas, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
So
Yeah.
could you not get involved in the celebration then with your farm
No, no.
employees?
I
Oh dear.
I was so bad that I couldn't even drive my wife and my daughter to go there. I was just not in the right condition to leave the house at all. So yeah, it was a boring day for me.
I'm sure. Yeah, was it just a 24-hour thing then? Did you shake it off and you were much better on the 27th?
Yeah. Because on the 27th, we went out in the evening till we had a look at some of the Christmas lights that were around. And then that night, the 27th evening, when we got home, which was probably about 10 p.m. ish, my daughter started feeling terrible as well. So she became really, really pale and sick, throwing up, vomiting. yeah, she was not in a good way either. So yeah, I was okay ish in that sense to go out. But yeah, it was that period of a few days was pretty awful.
Oh dear. How about New Year? How did you guys celebrate New Year? So New Year's Eve and the
Ah,
countdown to 2025.
yeah. So New Year's Eve was quite a quiet one around here actually, because the the major celebration here is actually New Year's Day. So we had like a small party at one of our neighbors' houses just where we live. They invited a load of people, and we had a small sort of New Year's Day party with them. So we didn't really do a great deal for New Year. Just New Year's Day, we enjoyed a little bit of a party with quite a few people actually, which was good.
Oh, lovely. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And how was the Korea trip, by the way?
Yeah, the career trip was great, thank you. Yeah, so we had a quiet family Christmas at home, and then on Boxing Day on the 26th, we flew off to Seoul in South Korea. Um, Really great journey, actually, smooth journey. Everything was on time. Um, Really nice airline. It was an airline called Korean Air, and
Oh, okay,
and it was
cool,
a direct flight. There was lots of legroom. I was really surprised. So loads of legroom,
awesome.
really nice food. So yeah, I really enjoyed the flight. I think it was about 14 hours. So my kids struggled a little bit, but
Yeah,
I actually really enjoyed it. I think partly because I didn't have Wi-Fi, so I couldn't go on my phone, so I couldn't do any work. So it was probably the first time in about a year that I'd actually unplugged. So I just
yeah,
completely watched some films and chilled out, and yeah, it was nice. And we booked, or I had booked an Airbnb, and I hadn't done any research when I booked it. And luckily for us, I'd booked it in a really great location. It was in a really vibrant, popular neighborhood. So literally
okay,
just outside the apartment, and we were in a really, really cool and hip and vibrant area with lots of restaurants and bars and shops. And yeah, and the amazing thing about Seoul for me was it just comes alive at night. Um,
yeah,
in the day, pretty. It's still a busy city, but it's quite quiet and everything. And then at night time, it just comes alive, and it was amazing, amazing place. So we all absolutely loved Seoul and loved Korea. Yeah, we just spent our days walking around the city, doing some touristy things, but mainly just
cool.
walking around the city. But I did have one problem in Seoul, and that was
Okay.
basically that I just couldn't sleep. I could not get into the time zone at all,
Oh,
at all. So pretty much
really?
pretty much every day
Yeah.
I woke up at 2 a.m.
You
and
you had
I was
some
up.
bad jet lag then.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So every day 2 a.m. I'd wake up, and then I'd potter around the apartment. I went out to Starbucks early morning for a coffee every day. Would
Right.
do the shopping, but of course, like when my family were waking up at 8:30, 9 o'clock,
Yeah.
I'd already had my day. So um,
I'll see you later. I'm done.
yeah, so and then obviously we'd be going out for the day,
Yeah.
and it was tough for me because I was just got so tired. And you must know with jet lag, you just can't like you can only have so many coffees, or you can only say to yourself so many times, "Come on,
Yeah,
you can do this." Your brain just sort of starts to hallucinate and shut down, doesn't it, after a while?
absolutely. But you went to Japan last year, which I
Mm,
mean the year before. So you were on the time zone the same as Japan, I believe. Korea
yeah.
is half an hour difference or something like that, isn't it? Not too much of a difference. So, did you have the same experience in Japan as well?
No, I
Oh,
was okay
okay,
in Japan. For a few days I was jet lagged, but I was
right.
okay. But Korea, I never, my body never got into the Korean time. So
Jet
when
lag
I came back,
sucker punched you.
yeah, because when we came back to the UK, when we came back to England, I was fine. I didn't get any jet lag at all. I was just straight back into my sleep cycle, no
Wow,
problem.
wow. I must admit, every time because I haven't done it from the Philippines yet. Every time I went to England from Japan, I was okay going to England. I generally had maybe a couple of days where I woke up at around 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, something like that. Um,
Mm,
but it wasn't a big problem. It wasn't. There was no very sort of. I wasn't tired. I wasn't really feeling it too much. But the opposite trip coming back, or when I lived in Japan, going back to Japan, I always felt jet lagged for a good 5 days. But what I used to do in Japan, uh, I don't recommend it, but what I used to do is I used to schedule work on the same day that I arrived. So I arrived in the morning and then I scheduled myself to have lessons in the afternoon so that I had to stay awake for those lessons because my I'm telling myself, right, you've got work. So I have to then prepare myself to be awake for those lessons. That kind of made it a little bit easier. But yeah, jet lag, it's one that you can't get rid of that easily. It's terrible. Yeah. Were your family? Were your other family members okay? Like your wife and your kids?
yeah, they were all okay. It took them a couple of days, but they were all okay. It was just me, unfortunately. Um, but we still absolutely loved the trip, and um,
No.
I got yeah. So it was a holiday, but also I went to film for my YouTube channel, so I got some really good footage, filming,
Cool.
some lovely people in Seoul, interviewing them. So yeah, it was mission accomplished basically. And there were
Awesome.
many really awesome, really cool things about Korea. What I didn't realize was the food. So it's
Ah.
very communal, the
Okay.
eating style there, a bit like tapas in Spain.
Yeah.
In Korea, when you sit for a meal, you get lots of little plates, lots of little dishes of food to share, and
Yes.
I really really loved that, and so did my kids. We really loved that, and we had some fantastic food there, absolutely delicious food. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. I think uh, in the meat, like grill, like Korean barbecue, is very popular, isn't it? Where you get different plates of meat, usually beef, I think, and then you cook it on the hot plate, and I believe it's
Yeah.
quite a popular one. Is that right?
Yeah, we went one night for a Korean barbecue. It was
Ah,
great. Yeah,
nice.
cooking our own food at the table. That was an experience because, of course, in the UK we don't do that. So yeah, that was that was fantastic. Actually, great experience doing that. And yeah, the food, like I really like spicy food, and Korean food generally is quite spicy. So yeah, I absolutely loved the food. It was delicious,
Nice.
really, really great.
How were the prices? Did you find Seoul to be relatively reasonable, or was it quite expensive? Or what was your opinion on the prices of the city?
Yeah, it was. I think generally compared to the UK, it was a lot more affordable. I think most places are. So yeah, not too bad at all. And yeah, we just had a fantastic break, and it's always so interesting to visit. Such a fascinating culture and such a fascinating country. So yeah, loved it. Absolutely
Oh,
loved
awesome,
it.
awesome. Do you have any plans to experience another country? Maybe this coming winter time, or what are your travel plans like for the future?
Yeah, so I'm going to Rio de Janeiro in April.
Wow,
That's again to do some filming. So it's again another totally different destination. Just
awesome.
had the idea I'd love to go to Copacabana Beach and
Yeah,
film at Copacabana Beach. So yeah, so I'm going to Rio in April. Apart from that, I'm not too sure. I'm sort of
awesome.
yeah, not too sure, but yeah. So there's more travel to come, and
Fantastic.
more sort of videos for the YouTube channel.
That's
How
going to
how
be wonderful. Yeah, it's going to be like I can imagine. Just the different cultures that you get to see, like Asian culture and then Brazilian, like South American culture. Fantastic. Yeah, I think that would be brilliant. Of course. So
How about yourself? How about yourself, Jordan? What are your plans for 2025 in terms of travel? You're planning on coming back to the UK?
probably, yeah. Depending on finances as usual. If everything goes well, then definitely. I'm thinking about doing that. But before then, uh, the next couple of months are going to be really, really fun and interesting because my dad will come here. I think on Tuesday he will arrive. So it's Sunday now, so yeah, he's going to be arriving not too far into the future, which will be great. So I'm looking forward to having him around for probably I think it's just over a couple of weeks, and yeah, we're going to go and do some interesting touristy things that I haven't done. So we got a few fun things planned for us to do over the next couple of weeks, actually, which is going to be good.
That sounds amazing. So what are some of the ideas that you've got to show your father the Philippines and where you're living?
So, one, we're going to hopefully go to a place called Bais, which is about an hour and 45 minutes drive away. Um, and if you're lucky, you can see dolphins. So that's a place where dolphins usually hang out. So trying to go and see them if possible. Another one is to go over to Cebu, which is a place called Oslo, and they have whale sharks that you can swim with whale sharks. So that is another thing that will be a really interesting experience to have as well. Another one is to climb the mountain, which is called Mount Talinis. Um, so we can have a look and go up there. There's a beautiful lake at the top of Mount Talinis as well. So yeah, quite some fun things to do. I hope hopefully the weather will be good and we can do them all.
How about Manila, the capital? So I'm sure you'll be going there with your dad. What is there to do in Manila? What are sort of some of the top things to do there in the capital?
There's some cool things actually. If you are interested in like the sort of modernization of the city, there's a place called BGC, uh, which is kind of like the up and coming. Um, it's the place where they've got a lot of new buildings and it's quite vibrant. So lots of interesting eateries around there. And interestingly, I didn't know this. The Philippines has the 12th best pizza in the world. Yeah, I had no idea.
Really?
Yeah. In Manila. So I want to go to the 12th best pizza shop in the world and I want to visit it.
Oh wow! Talk to me about pizza then. What's your favorite pizza? What toppings
Oh.
are you gonna ask for at this pizza
Uh,
restaurant?
if I answer and say Hawaiian, I think my Italian students that I have are going to be heartbroken because they always tell me, never, you should never put pineapple on pizza. I just
They'll unfollow you, Jordan. They'll unfollow you.
um, so no, I don't I don't have that one. But my go-to pizza is probably a pizza with mushrooms. I like mushrooms, and I also like pepperoni as well. I'm a big fan of pepperoni, so anything with mushrooms or pepperoni, either of those, I quite like. What about yourself? Do you have a favorite pie that you like?
Well, yeah. I mean, I was just going to quickly ask you actually. So, why do you think this restaurant in Manila was voted the 12th best in the world?
I don't know. I have no
Could be
idea.
the could be the dough, maybe something special about the dough and the crust of the pizza.
Yeah, I like. I only saw it as I was browsing through TikTok or YouTube or something. It was a one of the shorts videos that I was browsing, just aimlessly browsing through, and it caught my eye, and I watched it, and I was like, "Wow, really? Okay, interesting." So I don't know the reason why, but I want to go and find out what the reason is. I'm intrigued to know why they have the accolade of the 12th best pizza in the world. Um,
I would like you to report back on to the podcast about this,
yeah,
Jordan, when you go there.
we should do another segment, food reviews.
Yeah, pizza update exactly.
Yeah,
My favorite pizza. I'm going to get unfollowed now by all of my Italian followers because my favorite pizza is actually Hawaiian with pineapple. Um, and there's sort of a running joke with my friends and family that I'm always on the quest for the perfect Hawaiian pizza.
really,
Well, yeah, wherever I go, whichever pizza restaurant I go to, I always order the Hawaiian to try
right?
and my mission is to find the perfect Hawaiian pizza. I'm
Fair
still
enough.
looking. I'm still looking, but
Yeah,
maybe Manila is my next destination. Maybe I need to get myself to
yeah,
Manila to this pizza restaurant.
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
actually, that kind of brings us quite nicely, I think, into talking about New Year's resolutions because talking about pizza,
Hmm.
I eat too much pizza. One of
Really?
my New Year's resolutions, yeah, one of my New Year's resolutions this year is probably to try to eat a bit more healthily.
Right.
Although the year for me has started really badly because I ate pretty well in December. I ate
Yeah.
very healthily in December. Over the past week, for some reason, I my body has rejected all kind of healthy food and has started craving unhealthy food. So I need to. I've already broken my New Year's resolution,
Oh no.
unfortunately. Um, so that's one of them. Is yeah, I'm going to try and eat a bit more healthily. I saw a really cool documentary on Netflix about this guy in the States. Maybe you've heard of him, and he's trying to beat the aging process.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
and he's on a mission to reduce his natural aging, and so that was quite inspiring to watch him and listen to his special routine in terms of exercise and diet and what he eats. But then after watching the documentary, I ordered a pizza. So I need to, I don't know what I'm doing. So I need to focus, lock in, and yeah, I'm going to try and be a bit healthier with my eating. How about you? Have you made any New Year's resolutions?
I think for me, I haven't necessarily started yet, but my goal for this year is to be more consistent on YouTube because I post very sporadically on YouTube, and I've got a couple of ideas that I want to try out this year, and I think if I can maintain um, a good schedule and actually keep and stick to it, I think it will be something that will benefit me more because I I'm just kind of neither here nor there sometimes with it, and that goes for most of my work. Actually, is my New Year's resolutions are mostly based around work and trying to be more consistent with most of things, like consistently posting, um, consistently making educational videos, consistently reading as well to make sure that I'm still up to date with certain stuff. So yeah, I just want to try and make sure that I'm doing things in a routine sort of way. Not necessarily. I don't want to be bogged down with too much, but I mean, I want to. I want to put out good content, and but I want to do it on a good regular basis as well. So, for me, that's the main goal is to try and be more consistent. I think. Um, yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? As content creators, being self-employed, basically, working as an individual,
Yes.
without a team with you or behind you, staying self-motivated and what motivates you, and it's interesting, isn't it? It's an interesting area to talk about.
100%.
I'm sure people listening or watching this will, if they are self-employed, if they're an entrepreneur, or they work alone, how they stay self-motivated. Yeah, it's an interesting one. Self-motivation, isn't it? Do you have that little voice in your head every day that sort of encourages you to get up and go and work and go and achieve your goals? How does it work for you?
But usually the little voice in my head goes, "You're not doing enough." so, so yeah, I always feel that I could be doing more. Even even if I've achieved a decent amount in one day, I always get the sense that I could have done something else. I could have done something differently, and um, yeah, I don't think that I'm ever happy with what I'm doing. I think that I'm I think I'm content, but then after I've finished exactly what I need to do, I then think to myself, actually, I could have done something more. I could have done something better. So I'm always chasing that kind of something extra.
It's difficult though, isn't it? Because as a creator, I think
Yeah,
there's always something to do. So in theory, you could literally work 24 hours of the day if you had to. There's
absolutely.
always something to do. In other jobs, maybe you've got a list of things to do and then you do them and then there's nothing to do until the next day. Whereas as a creator, there's always something to do. I think also we can be quite hard on ourselves as well and not appreciate our achievements.
That's
So
true.
when we have a video that does really well, rather than sort of stand back and think, oh, that video's done really well, I'm really proud of that, we're, oh god, right now, tomorrow I've got to match it. I need to make
Yeah,
another video that does just as well,
yeah,
and then put extra pressure on ourselves in that way. So yeah, being a content creator, same as many other jobs, I'm sure, it can be quite stressful, and then you wonder, well, where is this stress coming from? Well, actually, the stress is coming from within
yeah,
myself. There's
yeah,
no
yeah,
one,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know. It's an interesting one. I mean, do you set yourself daily goals? Because what I've found has helped me is I tend to set myself, say, 3 daily goals I want to achieve,
Mm,
and then main overarching goals, big tasks, and then I try to do my 3 tasks, and then try to then stop and think, well, I've done my
yeah.
goals for the day. Do you work similarly to that?
No, actually, I don't. But I think that's where I need to try to focus on. I think that is another kind of connection to me being more consistent is having the plan to do those kind of three things. So um, I need to probably what I need to do is I need to plan out my next day the night before, um, because if I wake up and then I say to myself, okay, what do I want to do today? I procrastinate a lot and I don't have that clear vision. And if I'm there thinking about like, oh, what do I want to do? What should I do? I start fiddling around with things that you know are not necessarily going to provide any value to what I'm doing for that day. Um, I start watching things on YouTube, football or other sports. um, yeah, I definitely need to do that so that I can focus. I think from on my tasks. But yeah, did you always do that? Like, have you always done that from the beginning, or is it something that you've kind of adapted to recently, setting yourself goals each
No,
day?
it's something that someone told me about a
Mm,
few years ago, and then I started to try and implement it. I mean, it's not always possible because some days things happen, and you can't do what you wanted to do, and other days you might want to do more than the goals that you've set yourself. But generally speaking, yeah, it works quite well for me because it kind of focuses my mind on what I want to do on that
mm.
day.
Cool. Yeah, I want to sort of get myself into that routine of setting them and achieving them. I think it makes it much easier to then take breaks. Of course, I think if we don't if we don't have those set goals, then you end up not doing a great deal, but you also haven't really taken a break either. So you're constantly going around. It's like a the proverbial hamster on a wheel, isn't it? You're just turning and turning and turning, but you're not really going anywhere.
Yeah, no, definitely you can end up feeling like that, whereas the reality is that you are doing things, you are
Sure,
achieving things, but yeah, sometimes it can feel like that, I think. Yeah,
absolutely,
it's interesting. It's interesting. Self-motivation, it's a huge area, isn't it? Motivation, but how you stay self-motivated is
one
an
hundred
interesting
percent.
one.
Yeah,
Mm.
and what I found interesting was is that I was reading something the other day is that they have now a day on January 10th known as Quitters Day, because that's when most people quit their New Year's resolutions. 10 days after New Year is called Quitters Day.
Really? Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. What's the
Yeah,
date today? Oh, it's the
yeah.
12th. Yeah, that. Mm.
So I think it derived from an American study or something like that. And yeah, they found out that most people, if they were going to quit their New Year's resolution, it would probably be on the 10th of January. So interesting. Not long.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting.
Cool.
All right. Well, shall we do the English to take away part? I mean, this is
Absolutely.
one of the parts I enjoy the most about the podcast. So, if you're if you're a first time, I should say, listener, at the end of every podcast, the end of every episode, we will feed back 10 phrases, words, idioms, things that have arisen and come up during the podcast. I usually talk about words that Jordan has said, and Jordan, vice versa, talks about words that I've said.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yes. Please kick off.
okay. Oh, thank you. The first one I've got is the adjective priceless.
Oh,
So you were talking about Christmas morning and the excitement on your daughter's face when she was opening her presents, and you said, "Ah, the excitement on my daughter's face was priceless."
yes.
So I thought that was a really nice adjective. If something's priceless, it's so precious that you can't give it a value. You
Mm,
can't give it a price. So it
absolutely.
could be a piece of art, couldn't it?
Mhm.
Could be a very rare gem, or could be, as you described, a reaction or a memory. Your memory of someone and their face.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think when when we talk about things being priceless, it's a great way to describe it. Memories. I think most people talk about memories as being priceless because we can't we can't go back and usually recreate them. So yeah, they are always going to be very priceless. Indeed. Yeah, nice. The one that you mentioned right from the beginning, actually, which one I thought was good to use is I've got to start the new year off as usual with a phrasal verb. I'm sorry, I have to. Yes, fireworks. I like it. um, Catch up was the one that you mentioned. So when you haven't seen someone for a few weeks, maybe even a few months, and you want to know what they have been doing or how their work has been, family, trips, whatever, we would usually say, "Oh, we're going to catch up," or "Let's catch up." It just means to get the latest information about your friend or your family member, who you haven't seen in sometimes a short while, or it could be even years. So, yeah, catch up is a great phrasal verb to use when you want to talk about the information between the times that you haven't seen that person, of course.
Also a noun as well, isn't it? A catch
Yes.
up. Let's have a catch up.
Yeah,
Lovely
let's
word.
have a catch up. Yes. Yeah, yeah. Perfect indeed. Yes.
Cool. My next one, you were talking about your Boxing Day celebrations with your employees, and then unfortunately you couldn't attend because you were sick. So you said that my plans to cook were out the window.
Yeah.
So um, to be out the window, I suppose it's an idiom. Would you
Yeah.
say
Yeah, I think
to
so.
be
Of
out the
course.
window? So if your plans are out the window, it means they are basically ruined.
Yeah.
The plans are
Gone.
over, finished,
Gone,
gone.
finished. Yeah.
Mm, yeah.
Yes. Um, yeah, it's yeah, definitely it's a fun idiom to use, of course. When something adverse happens, you can talk about it like that, of course. Yeah, good. Um Another one that I liked from yourself was uh, when you said you were on the plane and for 14 hours you couldn't use your devices, your phone, your laptop, you couldn't work. So you unplugged, right? A great word to use, meaning that you couldn't connect to the Wi-Fi, you couldn't use the technology that you usually use to maybe communicate with people, maybe in this case, Richard's case, doing some editing. Um, so when we say unplugged, it means that we stop using those devices. We don't use them for that period of time. So you could say, oh, at the weekend, I'm going to totally unplug and go to the countryside for 2 days. Yeah, I really like that expression, actually. Very, very nice indeed.
It's nice to unplug, but we don't unplug often enough. I
No,
don't think. No, do we?
that's too true. That is too true
Yeah,
indeed.
yeah.
Yes.
All right, the next one I had is a curious one. A bit of, I guess, bit of discourse analysis, really. So it's an example of some natural English. So
Mm.
you were talking, you said we had a celebration, but before you said the word celebration, I think you needed some time to think of the word celebration. So you used, interestingly, two what we'd call hesitation devices.
Oh, okay.
So you said we had a sort of kind of like celebration.
Yes.
So I found that quite interesting and I jotted it down, I wrote it down. A couple of interesting hesitation devices. So when we're speaking any language and we need to give our brain a little bit of time to come up with and think of the word, we often say little short expressions. So we had a sort of celebration, or we had a kind of like celebration,
Yeah.
and then you used both. You said we had a sort of kind of like celebration.
Yeah.
I just found that interesting. I found that really nice. An example of natural, real English.
And also I think the reason I use those is because I'm unsure of whether to call it a celebration as well.
Yeah,
Because it's not necessarily a celebratory day, so to speak. It's not the usual celebration day. So um, I think for me, in my mind, I was thinking, do I call it a celebration? And yeah, as you said, I'm hesitating to use that word. And when you do use sort of or kind of like, it's showing that I'm not 100% sure that I want to use that word to describe it as well. So yeah, it's interesting. I didn't even notice that I said it.
Well, yeah, I mean, for subconsciously used, wasn't it? Subconsciously used.
Yeah,
Um, but for many, I think for many learners, they can consciously use these words, these hesitation devices, both to sound more natural, but also to avoid stopping speaking
yeah,
while you're
perfect.
thinking of the words. So
Definitely.
interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Um, I loved the way in which you described Korea, Seoul. You said that you booked an Airbnb in this district of Seoul that was very vibrant and energetic. It was fantastic. Like the word vibrant, I just think is a great adjective to use, of course. And when we use vibrant, we mean it's like very colourful. In terms of, I would imagine, because you're talking about nighttime, lots of lights were on, and also because of the atmosphere, it was a very, you know, the atmosphere was fantastic. It was great. There was a lot going on. So when we say something is vibrant, it's an adjective to describe something that is, uh, in a sense, very energetic. It could be very colourful. The atmosphere could be amazing. Any other ways that you could think of using vibrant for?
I think it's nice to describe a place, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
You might also use it for a picture or painting, like lots of
Yeah.
color.
Yep, yep. The vibrant colors, the vibrant atmosphere, a vibrant place. You're kind of,
Mm.
I think you're when you say the word vibrant, I think you're intertwining everything like into that one sort of mixing pot, really. And as it said, like this is a vibrant city, meaning the colors, the atmosphere, the people, the energy. Yeah, it's definitely a really really cool adjective to use to describe a place. Indeed. So yeah, usually I think certain districts within big cities are vibrant. Uh,
Mm.
you've got some interesting places in Tokyo, which are very vibrant. London as well, which has the same. So, yeah, we can describe certain areas, I think, as being a vibrant place. But yeah, I loved it. I love
Yeah,
the adjective, indeed.
nice. The next one I've got is an example of, I think, informal
Mm.
English. So often we have more neutral or more formal verbs, and then we can have more informal verbs. So I think you were talking about Christmas Day and cooking, and you couldn't cook because of the power cut,
Yeah.
so you had to cancel your Christmas dinner plans. Instead of saying cancel, you said to scrap. So
Ah,
you said we had to scrap our plans. So it's a nice example of, so you got cancel, informal word, scrap. So
yes.
obviously, you wouldn't use the word scrap in an academic essay or in an assignment, would you?
No.
But when you're speaking to a friend or in a casual conversation, it's absolutely brilliant word to use to scrap
Yeah.
your plans.
Yeah. Uh, we can also use it like um, when we're thinking of ideas as well, right? To kind of essentially to cancel an idea that we've already talked about. So somebody says blah 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 this idea. Ah, no, actually scrap that. That no. Let's think about something else. So yeah, it's a great informal word to use, definitely, and it's one that it's used quite often, I think, as well. It's not one that we don't hear very often. We do hear it incredibly often, actually. So cool. I think this is the last one, right? Or do we have two
I think
more?
this is, yeah, so this is number 8 now.
Oh, this is
So
number
we've got a
eight.
few
Okay,
more. Yeah.
wonderful. A couple more. So I love this one just because I've used it a few times. Maybe it is British English. I'm not sure. Maybe it's British. Potter around. Great, a great expression to use. I was pottering around.
I've realized how old I am now saying that word.
Yeah.
I'm worried.
um, yeah, I I loved it because it was just it was natural for you to use. So when we say potter around, it means that we're doing things but with no real purpose. We're not really we're not really doing anything substantial. We're doing just little, you know, little actions here and there, but there's no real substance behind what we're doing. So when we say I'm pottering around, it just means I'm doing things, but there's not really an end goal to what I'm doing. Yeah, it's a great expression to use, and yeah, I've loved hearing it. Actually, it was really cool.
In the UK, Sundays are normally a non-working day for
Yes,
most people. So Sunday morning would be a time to potter around the house, wouldn't it?
that's right.
Doing a few doing a few jobs, washing up, doing the laundry, and just walking around. But as you said, not with any great purpose.
Mm, yes, yeah, yeah. Sometimes you start one thing and then you forget about it. You start doing another thing, and yeah, that's sort of the idea of it, is that you're just doing a few bits and pieces, um, but don't really have a clear idea of what the achievement is. So yeah, I love that one. That was brilliant indeed. Cool.
Cool.
The last one.
My last so my last one is
Yes.
when we were talking about pizza,
Yes.
and we were talking about favorite pizza. So you could say my favorite pizza is, but you said interestingly, my go-to pizza
Ah,
is. So my go-to plus a noun or a noun phrase.
yes.
My favorite, my go-to pizza, my go-to coffee, my go-to drink, my go-to order, my go-to burger. You can use it with many different examples of food or drink, can't
Yes.
you?
Yeah. Absolutely. Um, yeah. It's one that we would say that we use it when we have no other ideas. Like we don't want to try something else, but we know this one is good, so that's the one that I I want. Unless, of course, I want to try something new and interesting. But yeah, go to, yeah, my favorite, the thing that I want or I order the most. Yeah, absolutely. Cool. And the last one that I had for yourself was when you were talking about the prices in Korea, in Seoul. And I asked, are they reasonable? And you came back with a really nice adjective, similar to using reasonable. You said they are affordable, more affordable than in the UK. Um, I just thought that this was another good adjective to use when describing prices. Many people, they describe prices as being expensive, very expensive, cheap, very cheap. But in between, you've got affordable, which is a great adjective to use when you want to describe a place or a shop that is actually in the middle of cheap or expensive. People can afford it. Many people can actually go there, and if we're talking about food, eat the food there. So yeah, I thought affordable was a great adjective to use.
Nice, Jordan. Shall I run through them all? I've been writing them down.
Perfect. Please do. Yes.
Yeah, so we had priceless, to catch up, to be out the window, unplug, sort of, kind of like, uh, vibrant, scrap, potter about or potter around,
Mhm.
my go-to, and affordable. What an amazing list of words, I think,
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
today's episode. Really cool.
Absolutely. A very different array of vocabulary that we have there. Some beautiful words that you can use to enhance day to day English. Absolutely. It's been good. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome. So that is the end of today's first episode of the year. So, again, once again, Happy New Year to you all. And hopefully, your New Year's resolutions are to listen or to watch the podcast every week. That'll be a great New Year's resolution that you guys can
Absolutely.
have.
Watch, listen, and improve your English with us.
Absolutely, yeah,
Absolutely.
I completely agree. If you do want to send us any messages or any ideas for example, role plays that we want to you want us to do on the podcast, or have any kind of news articles, possibly from your country, that you would like us to discuss, don't forget to send them to our email address, which is English to Takeaway Pod at gmail.com. And we will go through them and feature them on the podcast, of course. But otherwise, fantastic stuff.
Thank you very much for listening, everyone. See you next week.
All right.
Jordan.
Take care of yourself. See you soon, Richard. Bye bye.
Bye bye.